Hey, fellas. It's been a couple weeks, and in that time, man, there's been a lot of stuff happening in our world. I know some of you guys, especially in urban areas, know that I've been, man, lifting you guys up quite a bit. Um, we go from a global pandemic to, in some cases, just utter chaos. So, kind of scary times we're living in now. I just want you guys to know that, man, I am blessed and honored to coach you guys and to work with you guys. It was a couple weeks ago. I was able to be with the Knoll family, and you guys that are coming back, you guys know Drew, and he just got married. It was a beautiful ceremony. We were able to celebrate God's gift of marriage. Spent yesterday with some alumni in Sioux Falls as Jason Sweats, who graduated, I believe, in man, I want to say 2016 maybe. I'm getting old. Just got married, and a beautiful ceremony. Just gave a lot of honor to Christ, and we heard the gospel, so that was good. And you get to do those things, and when you're in that moment, you forget a lot of the chaos. But I want to, as I send out the email that kind of outlines last couple weeks challenges and some of the results of that, and it kind of gets you ready for the next challenge, the next 2 weeks. Our theme for next year, for the 2021 season, is going to be to press on. All right, and you'll hear the phrase or the term press on quite a bit. But here's where it comes from. It comes out of Philippians chapter 3. So one of your challenges this week will be to read the book of Philippians. Awesome book in the New Testament. Paul writes it to a church that he's associated with, the church in Philippi, and it's 4 chapters long. It's not real grueling, but there's a lot of nuggets in there. So I would, one of your challenges is that you get in that, you finish that book, you finish those 4 chapters, try to draw out two things that you think that you haven't heard before, maybe verses that you have heard that you cling to, that resonate with you. But what were 2 things you feel like God was kind of sharing with you? But I'm going to read out of Philippians 3, verses 12 to 14. Okay. Paul writes, "Not that I have already obtained it or have already become perfect, but I press on so that I may lay hold of that for which also I was laid hold of by Christ. Brethren, I do not regard myself as having laid hold of it yet. But one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and reaching forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus." And as I read that, a couple things jump out at me. Paul, the Apostle Paul, St. Paul, he is at a place in his life, and I think he lived his life like this, where he hadn't obtained it. And so often we live life like we've arrived. All right? We live life like we've arrived. And I've been reading a book, and I know Blake Pumeisel just finished this a couple weeks ago, but it's called The Last Arrow by Erwin McManus. And he kind of talks about that. We live life, we stop short. We don't live a life of urgency. Okay? Live a life of urgency. And the quote in the email that I sent you is that urgency gives our passions deadlines. We don't live a life of urgency. We live a life like we've already obtained it. But Paul, in his walk with Christ, does not live life like he's already arrived. He's always knowing God more. He wants to know God more. All right? But that's hard, right? It's hard. How many of you guys have stumbled? How many of you guys have screwed up? How many of you guys have battled an addiction or a sin and and you ask for forgiveness and you feel that grace, but 2 days later you find yourself in the same pit, and it's discouraging, and it's easy to beat ourselves up. It's easy to let that loss define us. It's easy to you get in a match and you see a guy get taken down, and you just see the life come out of it. He cannot get over that takedown. He can't get over that loss, and he just quits for the tournament. He quits the tournament. He quits the match. He quits the tournament, and in some cases, he just quits altogether. You see it happen in wrestling. You probably see it in lives around, because we can't get over adversity. We allow that to define us. But Paul says in 13, and this is, I don't know how he does this. So keep in mind that even as a 46-year-old man, I'm still trying to figure this out. All right, but one thing I do, verse 13, forgetting what lies behind and reaching forward to what lies ahead. Something that you guys will hear me say a lot, especially upperclassmen. You've heard me, freshmen, and new guys, you'll hear me say this. It's not the loss that defines you necessarily. It's how you respond to that loss. But in order to respond in a healthy way, you have to forget the loss. You have to forget about it. You can't let that define it. And you reach forward. All right? You create a plan and you work that plan. All right? Say you have I don't know, a drinking problem, or you have an issue with pornography, or you spend too much time on social media, or you're dishonest, right? And you don't want to do those things. You don't want to live like that, but you find yourself you stumble, right? You stumble. The beautiful thing about our faith, the beautiful thing about living the Christian life, is that we're not expected to be perfect. God has given us grace through his son, Jesus Christ. He's given us grace. And what that means is that I have not in a sense, a redo. All right? I am forgiven. And when I'm forgiven, I'm given a clean slate. And the next day, I can battle again. I can fight again. Forgetting what lies behind and reaching forward to what lies ahead. So wherever you're at, right? You're striving to be the best version of yourself. And you know what that looks like. We're going to talk about defining a process. All right? To press on, you need to outline your process. You need to define what success is. What does it look like to you? What is success? A healthy definition of success. What is it? An immediate success? What is short-term goals? What is a long-term goal? And we'll talk about those types of things. All right. But you have to let yourself go from that mistake and get back on the horse and get after the process. And sometimes I need to redefine what the process is. All right. If I'm having a hard time making weight, I may need to relook at my diet. I may need to relook at all kinds of different variables. If I'm struggling to, if I'm struggling with what I'm looking at on my phone, I may need to put my phone away at a certain time, so that temptation is not there. But I need to outline my process. Okay, and he ends with this: I press on toward the goal, for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. Okay? So that fight that we do in wrestling from August to March, all right? From August to March, that fight that we endure, that we participate in, we have to learn to press on. We have to know what we're working towards. We have to know what it's going to take to get there. And that's hard for a first-year guy, because you're just going to try to assimilate what you did in high school, and it's going to look a lot different in college. All right? But you have to know what you're striving for, and you have to be flexible with your process. it's a growing, living, breathing thing. Okay, so I would just encourage you guys that as you read the book of Philippians the next couple weeks, what does that look like to you? What does pressing on look like to you in wherever you're at? Okay, and then I would also encourage you that quote from Erwin McManus in that email. Urgency gives our passions deadlines. All right, it comes from this section of the book where it's called The Power of Now. And so often we do it later. Well, I'll do it later. There's always next year, right? But we have an opportunity to do great things now. All right? Now, if we live our life with a sense of urgency, not putting it off, but living it with a sense of urgency for today. So you have 2 challenges before you this week. Forget if you haven't done anything in the past. And there's a couple of you that haven't gotten involved at all right? So forget that, all right? You can start this week, tomorrow, Monday, June 8th, okay? You can start to be the best version of yourself. And so I would encourage you, get in there, read the book of Philippians. Let me know when you're done and a couple nuggets that you got from the book. The second workout is called the Gut Check 300, and it's probably a shorter workout, but it has 7 different exercises. And the challenge with this is to do the workout, the Gut Check 300. I say 3,300, but I want you to, when you're done, send me your time, because you're going to get points for doing the challenge, but you're also going to get points for what place you're in. So we're going to kind of reward the top 12. All right. So you're going against your team as well. So I would encourage those 2 things. All right. Also, get in and do some reading. We have 7 guys that have read a book. So good job to Reed, who's read 4. Reed Sealhammer, holy mackerel. Blake, Sam, Luke, those guys have each read 2. Matt, Jacob, and Sean Heaney have all read a book. So, and keep in mind, if you read a book in the Bible, and there's a lot of them, there's like 66 in there. If you read a book in the Bible, I would, you get points for that as well. And so I would probably not encourage you to, unless you want to you want to tackle the book of Psalms. But yeah, there's some. So if you do Philippians, you get points for doing the press on challenge. Plus you get 5 points for the book. So yeah, and continue to watch those videos that Dylan sends out. Again, he's got some good ones this week, dealing with neutral offense. All right, and both are productive. You just need to know who you are. So encourage you to do that. Keep praying for each other, reaching out to each other, staying in contact with each other. We do have a new guy, Jay McCoy, is going to be signing his letter of intent. He's from Stanley Lake in Colorado. It's in the Denver area. So we're excited to welcome Jay. Jay will probably wrestle 184, 197 for us. But excited to get him on board. Again, we're still working with Jose in California. Got him accepted, so that should be coming along. So we're pretty excited about that, excited about the team that God's putting together for us. And know that wherever you're at, my thoughts and prayers are with you. And one thing that's just been that I've been trying to practice here in the last couple of weeks is just to listen. All right? If I'm real honest with myself, I don't understand a lot of what's going on. All right? I don't understand either side, right? So put yourself out there and just listen. Listen to things. Listen to what people are saying. Ask questions. God tells us to be slow to speak, quick to listen, right? He gave us two ears and one mouth. So make sure that you're loving people, you're treating people with respect, you're treating them as the creation that our Creator put together. Each of you is a workmanship, and each person you come in contact with is a workmanship. So just be mindful of that, how you're treating people, how you're talking about people. And yeah, you're an ambassador of Northwestern and Northwestern Wrestling, but you are an ambassador of the kingdom. So, and that needs to come first and foremost. So Yeah, love you guys. You guys take care. And if you have questions, just shoot me an email or something. But know that I'm praying for you, and I'm excited to see how you guys do in the next couple weeks. All right, I'm out.